This is one of my favorite quotations. Don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein. H. Jackson Brown Jr. When I hear that, sometimes it causes me a little stress because I think I should be achieving more, but then I stop and think about how can I use my time more effectively? How can I put my time into the things that I love and enjoy while keeping track of all the responsibilities that I have? It's just like the oil in the spoon. So from this lesson, I want you to add to your note sheet. So look at the notes that I gave you, and then you can clarify with some notes from this. So if there are things that you think about in this video that you hadn't thought about before, just add them to your cream note sheet. We're going to talk about part 2, which is the initiation. So after this, the hero has left his old world and he cannot go back. So let's talk about the road of trials. At this point, the hero has crossed the threshold, and often he or she will encounter a dream landscape with ambiguous and fluid forms, things that did not exist in the original world, things that are new to the hero. Often the hero is challenged to survive a succession of obstacles, so one right after another, and each of these challenges helps the hero to develop, to change. The hero gains experience, gains knowledge, so that he or she will be equipped for the final battle. Oftentimes, the hero experiences an amplified consciousness, begins to realize that the world is more than just what he or she can see. And they're helped by a supernatural power or a benign power. Benign simply means not dangerous. So let's look at a couple scenes from A New Hope, the Star Wars original movie, and see if you can see these in action.
How long have you had these droids?
About 3 or 4 seasons.
They're up for sale if you want them.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
He can go about his business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along. Move along.
Those jobbers, disgusting creatures. Go on. Go on. I can't understand how we got by those troops. I thought we were dead.
The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded.
Hey, we don't serve their kind here.
What?
Your droids, they'll have to wait outside. We don't want them here.
Nice way out by the speeder. We don't want any trouble.
I heartily agree with you, sir.
The meeting with a goddess is a really interesting one, especially with the advent of more female heroes, because that goddess figure, when it becomes a male, takes on a few different forms. But traditionally, the goddess equals pure love, the soulmate, the connection on a spiritual level with someone. Oftentimes the hero must perform great trials to win the goddess. And sometimes there's a false goddess. I think that that may be something that is happening within The Alchemist, where Santiago believes that the dark-haired girl, the merchant's daughter, is really his love, but then he finds that it's someone else. So think about the different stories that resonate with you and how that goddess feature or that true love feature comes in. I think that if we were to rewrite the hero's journey from more of a gender neutral term, we'd have to change that word. And what word might we change it to? Who's the goddess in The Alchemist? Now let's look at the woman as temptress. And again, we know that Joseph Campbell's perception of this particular hero's journey was very male-centric. So name that temptress. Happens in many, many different stories. This is Calypso, and it's a famous painting with Odysseus and Calypso. And when we read the Odyssey, you'll recognize her. She actually keeps him captive on her island for many years. The White Witch. She tempts Edmund in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Can you name this temptress? Kind of a different form, isn't it? The witch transforms into the little old beggar, Snow White's witch. Now this is a biblical story. She cuts off his hair and it takes away his strength. Yeah, this is Delilah. Again, this is from the Odyssey. Can you name those creatures who try to pull Odysseus from his journey? Right, the sirens. And name that temptress. All right, that's just my own little humor. Okay, so the next step in the second stage of the hero's journey is the atonement with the father. Atonement means to come together, and in this case, the father figure often is a tyrant. It's often a teacher who's very, very demanding. It could literally be a father, as it is in the Star Wars first trilogy. But the hero has to reconcile him or herself with this figure from the past and the tyrant aspects of that figure. It's very clear in Harry Potter because Harry has to identify with the fact that he has many of the same qualities that Voldemort does. Does he choose to give in to those qualities, or does he choose to fight against them? Apotheosis literally means raising to God status, and the hero takes on almost superhero, almost divine qualities that allow him or her to achieve the goal. The ego, the personal part of that hero begins to disintegrate. There's a breakthrough, expanded consciousness. Oftentimes reality can even change, and the hero has new abilities that he or she didn't know that they possessed. So in this apotheosis, this raising to God status, there's an expanded point of view which allows a hero to sacrifice him or herself for the greater good. And that's something that's really important. Again, it's that ego, that own person within the hero that changes and adapts. The final step of the second stage of the hero's journey is called the ultimate boon. And the boon is a great gift. It's an awareness. It can be a gift, an actual physical gift or an object. It can also be a skill. It can be a way of thinking. And it needs to benefit the world when he or she returns. So it benefits the hero both in the current world that he or she is in, and also in the world when the hero returns to his normal world. So that concludes part 2 of the hero's journey, and next video we'll talk about the final stage, the return. Now, what you should be doing is using that outline, work through and look for examples of of these steps of the hero's journey. Make sure you're documenting with page numbers, giving a little bit of an explanation. You don't need to write out long quotations because you're going to have the page numbers there and you'll be able to reference it back. At this point, you should start writing your paragraphs. You've got enough information from stage 1 and stage 2 to begin working on those paragraphs. Bring them to class, we'll work on them together, and then we'll discuss and debate.